Can a second marriage work, even if your children are adults? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Embracing My 70s. Today, we're going to talk about second marriages and the challenges that we're faced when there are children and grandchildren involved. If this is a conversation you'd like to join in on, then you're in the right place. Stay tuned. Right, so we've rebuilt our lives after either losing a spouse or going through a divorce. We've brought up our children. We've gone through the hard part. We've got grandchildren that we love. And we've now met somebody else that we have fallen in love with. It feels wonderful. This feels like this should be the easy part. Yes, he's got children, I've got children, there's a whole clan of grandchildren between us, but I love him and he loves me, and because of that, I'm automatically going to love his children, aren't I? And his grandchildren, and vice versa. And then our first Christmas comes along. Oh, you're so excited. This is the first really big Christmas you're going to have for so many years. You can just see everybody around the table, all these combined children and grandchildren and our melded families together. We're going to put up a tree for all the gifts to be put around. And you're going to cook this fabulous Christmas lunch for Christmas Day. And then you get told, no, but hang on. My family actually have our main Christmas meal on Christmas Eve, and your new husband says, and you know, I always go to my children. They would expect me to continue doing that, and I presume that you would go with me from now onwards. Well, the first bomb is dropped. What about my children, I say? What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just go off and leave them for the first Christmas ever? Well, this never happened to me, but something very similar did. I've got 3 children, my husband's got 3 children, and between us we've got 15 grandchildren. So then starts our Christmas with your family, and then our Christmas with my family. When you join families together, a lot of consideration needs to be given. Keeping in mind that we all did things our own way before. Not everybody has a Christmas tradition that we do. We think it's the only way, but we're soon shown that it's not. And then, of course, keeping in mind that our adult children all have their own opinions as well. So we're now navigating conflicts that we really never saw coming. So then you start to wonder, goodness, is this something we should have thought about before we tied the knot? You know, having children is not that easy, and we thought having adult children would be a walk in the park. But everybody's got their own opinions on the way things should be done. And yes, perhaps there's a bit of protectiveness about mom, and who used to be married to our dad. And same on the other side. There's all sorts of feelings and emotions going on that you hadn't thought of before. And let's face it, we have our own expectations as well. We expect things to work in a family like ours do. Big surprise, doesn't happen that way everywhere. What happens when our expectations just don't match? Maybe this is where things start to get a bit tough. Do we automatically take our own child or children's side? Do we now, because we're married, take our spouse's side against our children? Or do we find some happy ground where nobody gets hurt? How do we balance all of this without anyone we love getting hurt along the way? I don't know the answer to this, but what I do know is that taking sides is the biggest mistake any of us can make. It can cause irreparable damage. Maybe the real question is, how do we make space for these new relationships to bloom without any of us having to choose one over the other? And what if our children don't like each other? What if they just plain don't get on? They don't like each other. There's absolutely nothing we can do about it. If you're thinking of getting married and your new partner has children, just because you love him, it doesn't automatically mean that he's going to love your children and you're going to love his, and that they are going to love each other. This is something to be navigated too. But let's keep in mind as well that we're talking, if we're discussing this on an adult children level, we're talking about big people. What if they have a disagreement? Is it really ours to resolve? It's not. We will probably try to resolve it, but in truth, it's not really ours to resolve. They're big enough to get on with it themselves. And then, of course, grandchildren. Now, this is an area that can really bring up a lot of emotion. Grandparents, we just love our grandchildren. What if your new partner babysits a lot more than you think he or she should? What if they're picking up grandchildren from school every day and bringing them home? Should this have been discussed beforehand? Maybe it should have, if it's going to impact on your life that much. These are all the things that need to be thought about. But how we handle these things is going to be very important, because this is where resentment is or is not going to creep in. And don't allow your children to allow resentment to creep into your relationship. It can happen so quickly without you realizing it. Because that moment will arise when frustration just boils over. And somebody says something like, well, I'm sorry that my children aren't as perfect as yours. I know yours always do everything perfectly, just like you want them to, and mine are always doing things the wrong way. Don't go there. That stings. Those little jabs don't make anything better. So what do? Do we sweep it under the carpet? Or is it time for some deeper conversation? I'd really love to hear how you have or would handle these scenarios in your life. I'm sure that so many of us have gone through this situation. You know, so many of us are married for the second or the third time, and there are children along the way. And everybody needs to be loved and considered and respected. So the big question: can a second marriage work when there are adult children involved? And my answer is a resounding yes. After saying what I've just said, that may be surprising to you, but I really think it can work. It takes patience, understanding, and a lot of communication. Peter and I have been together for over 20 years. We don't have the answers. We've got these adult people in our lives, all with their own opinions, with their own agendas, with their own family traditions now. And we're trying to meld the whole lot together. We're still trying to do it. It does take a lot of effort. But if there's one thing I do know for sure, that if you found companionship with someone who loves you and someone that you love, then it's worth the effort. Those times that you spend together alone, without the children, are special times, and they need to outweigh those other little irritations that come along. So let's keep this conversation going. Please, if you have got anything to add or share, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you've enjoyed this video, why don't you give it a like and maybe even subscribe if you haven't before. And until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your children, and take care of your spouse. Bye for now.